All right, so in Management Studio, we're going to take a look at that backup chain that I talked about earlier. So we've got a database here called DemoMe. I'm going to go here to Tasks, I'm going to go to Restore, and I'm going to go to Database. Now, we see here we've got a whole history of different backups that I've taken. So I'm going to zoom in so everybody can see this a little bit better. So here, this list here is my backup chain that I talked about earlier. So the backup chain, so that's my very first one. Now you'll notice that the checkboxes in Management Studio are already checked off for you for which backup files you need to restore and in which order, which is really nice. So the backup chain starts with that full, and then you can see here I've got a differential backup here, but I've got another differential backup here. So SQL Server automatically knows I need to restore my latest differential, so it checks that box, but it doesn't check this one. And finally, it's going to check off the boxes for all the different transaction log backups that I need. All right. So that's kind of cool that the backup chain is kept here for you, and it's really easy. Now, if I were to take, and I'm going to just to show you, I'm going to take another full backup of this database by right-clicking the database, going to Tasks and Backup. I'm going to select Full Backup, press OK, and if I go back into my database for Restore, we've only got one entry in here for the full database backup. That's because a new chain has been established, and it starts with that full backup. All right, so we're going to go back in here. All right, so we've talked about the recovery modes and the backups. There's a lot of myths that go into the whole backup and recovery world. And there's some really nasty myths, and Paul Randall, again, his series is fantastic, dispels a lot of those myths. For instance, people think, oh, you know, I couldn't query the database because you were taking a backup. Well, backups aren't a blocking transaction, so that's incorrect. Full backups don't ever clear log. Transaction log backups are the only things that can clear a log. This next one is one that I see a lot, and it just kind of bothers me, so I've mentioned it a few times. If your databases and your backups are currently residing on a SAN, snapshot and replication is not a backup. And if anybody, if a vendor, if a SAN admin tells you, yeah, you know, those databases are backed up, we're taking snapshots of the LUNs and replicating them over to a data center, that is not a valid backup, okay? SQL Server, depending on your recovery mode, you know, we talked about all the different backups. Especially if you're in full recovery mode, you need to be taking SQL Server backups. And, you know, that SAN snapshot replication, that's not going to allow you to restore a database to a certain point in time. And it's just bad. I do not like it. Differentials are not incremental. Again, that's one of those myths that come over, or it's not really a myth, but just a misunderstanding between the Oracle and SQL Server worlds. I talked about this earlier. Just because a backup works doesn't mean you can restore it. There's a couple different things you can do. You can do a restore with verify only, which is a T-SQL command. That quasi works, but that only checks the header of the backup. Okay, it just checks to see if the header is valid. Doesn't tell you that the backup itself is good. The only way, restore that database. Practice. All right, so backup and recovery plans. This is not a valid backup and recovery plan. Praying that nothing goes wrong is not a plan. Okay? So, given the information that I've covered today, take a look at your environments. 5% of you guys said that you do not currently take backups. That worries me because, as I go out on the forums or I go to client sites and they say, oh, we're not taking backups, alarms go off in my head because what happens if you lose that data? Is it going to cripple a business unit? Is it going to completely kill your business? You need to be taking backups, folks. And sometimes, 19% of you guys answered sometimes. Hopefully some of you guys join that 76%. And actually, I hope all of you join the 76% that answered yes, you're taking backups. So having a valid backup and recovery plan, again, depends a lot on your needs and your resources, but you need to have something in place. Now, SQL Server cool tools, and one of them is maintenance plans. Maintenance plans, some of you longtime DBAs may be looking at this slide and just kind of cringing, but hear me out. There's a lot of folks out there that are accidental DBAs, don't quite know all the crazy internals and all the stuff that goes in the SQL Server. Maintenance plans are a very easy way to make sure you're getting stuff done, be it backups or general database maintenance. Now, maintenance plans, there's limited customizing, but for a lot of folks, it's basically enough to get you by. Brad McGahee, who works for Redgate, he put out a free book called The Sure Guide to SQL Server Maintenance Plans. I linked to it there. It's a great resource. If you get a chance, go download that. Now, I'm going to switch back over real quick to my management studio, and we're going to take a look at a sample maintenance plan that I've put together here. So maintenance plans are pretty easy. Over here on the left, all plans, and there's a lot of stuff you can do there. Check database integrity, back up the database, do maintenance cleanup. So it's really nice, and it's just drag and drop, and you drag and drop over to this workspace over here on the right. Now, you can actually do multiple plans here, so you can see that I've done a weekly full backup, I've done daily differential backups, and I have one set up for hourly transaction log backups. So you just drag and drop objects here, so I'm going to drop a notify operator task over here to the pane, and it's just as simple as connecting the dots. Really easy. And if you read Brad's ebook or just search on the web, there's a lot of good resources out there.